Charlie.
And I'm Amy, and we come from the Americana.
On the 23rd of June 2016, the UK voted to leave the European Union. We're here at the Scottish Parliament to see what effect it will have on Scotland. Let's go inside.
What does your role as Minister involve?
Really three parts to my role, the first of which is I'm the lead negotiator for the Scottish Government with the UK Government on Brexit. I'm involved and have been involved in drawing up the options for Scotland in this paper, which I will hold up to the camera. So if you've seen it, Scotland's Place in Europe, which we published last December and which has our proposals. And the third part of my job is to listen to people, to talk about Brexit, to understand what their concerns are in Scotland and to represent that in the negotiations. So that's what I do. And of course all ministers are also MSPs. So I'm also the MSP for Argyll and Bute, which is a constituency in the west of Scotland with 23 inhabited islands.
Okay. Why do you think it is important for Scotland to be represented in the Brexit deals on its own, rather than part of the UK negotiations?
I think that it will be possible for Scotland to be represented in the negotiations with the 27, because that is clearly for the United Kingdom. They are the member state, they'll be negotiating. What is important is that the negotiating position that the UK takes up represents Scottish interests. So if there are, as I believe there are, particular Scottish interests that require to be represented, the interests of the devolved Parliament, key issues of migration, a whole range of other issues, those are represented within those negotiations, and I think Scotland should be within the team that does that. That, I have to say, is not yet agreed. In fact, it has not even properly been discussed.
Do you think that a second Scottish independence referendum is inevitable?
It's become more likely as time has gone on, and I know the First Minister has described it as almost inevitable, and that is because primarily now the UK Government has not responded to our proposals. Our proposals are compromise proposals. They're proposals that essentially square the circle between Scotland voting to stay in the EU, which it did, 62% to 38%, and England and Wales voting narrowly to leave. Northern Ireland voted to stay, of course, so did London. So we have a special interest because the people of Scotland want to stay, and therefore we need to make sure that that is understood. We put forward a compromise and they haven't responded to it. There's therefore only two possible solutions. If that doesn't happen, and I'm not saying it's not going to happen because we're not at that final stage, but then if it doesn't happen, there's only two other possibilities. One is you leave with the UK on their terms. We believe those terms would be very, very damaging to Scotland, to everybody in Scotland, you included, or you let the people of Scotland choose. That's not to say the Scottish Government says we'll be independent, but you say, here's the choice. It's a choice between what the UK has negotiated on independence, because the status quo isn't an option now. What we had in 2014 in the independence referendum was between the future independence or the existing status quo. That's gone. So it'll be a choice between what the UK Government can negotiate and independence. Now, we're not at that stage, but I think it becomes obvious that that would be the choice if we cannot negotiate. A compromise, which we have put forward in good faith. This is a compromise. This is not absolutely everything we wanted. We're looking for the UK Government to compromise too, hasn't done so yet.
What guarantees are there that Scotland will remain in the EU if we leave the UK?
The guarantee presently is that Scotland will leave the EU if Brexit goes ahead. So we better turn that question on its head, right? And what is certain is we'll be out of the EU unless we choose what to do. In those circumstances, if we have the compromise accepted, we'd still be in the single market, which is very, very important. And we would, however, with the rest of the EU, not be part of the customs union. If, however, we are an independent country, then we can choose whether to be in the EU or whether to be part of the EEA through EFTA, which is what we recommend here. So, and it is, I think, inconceivable we wouldn't be allowed one or the other because we meet all the requirements, and that's the key point. There's no queue of countries waiting to get into Europe. There's countries that want to apply, but they have to meet something called the acquis communautaire. That is essentially all the rules and regulations which allow you to be a European member of the European Union. We're there already. We're in. We do that. So we don't have to do anything to meet the acquis communautaire.
Yeah.
And that's the key issue. So Scotland is entitled to be so. Also, I can't but remember that in the 2014 referendum, we were told that if we voted for independence, we'd be out. Quite a lot of people said that's a bit risky. So we'll just vote for staying in the UK, and we're coming out anyway. So I think any argument based on the fact is, you won't get into Europe, is going to rebound on those who are making it.
Should EU citizens currently living and working in Scotland be worried about their future post-Brexit?
I don't want them to be, because we need them and they've made a huge contribution, and Scotland is the better for having them here in every part of our national life, and migration of that sort from the rest of the EU is very positive. I think it's utterly disgraceful that the Prime Minister has not given a guarantee to those people, and I think it has left them very uncertain, and in my constituency surgeries, I've had people coming to me to say they're really worried about it. I've got people in tears about it. Now, I believe they'll be allowed to stay, but I think it should have been said months ago. We'll continue to press for it. But we also need a continued flow. It's not just about, very important as they are, the people who are here now. We need that continued flow, that continued interchange. There are huge parts of Scottish life in which we depend upon people who come from the rest of the EU. 25%, a quarter of the staff in university research are from the rest of the EU. Our hospitality industry, our tech industries, our finance industries, some of our agricultural industries, they depend upon that interchange. And also, you have rights. If you wanted to go and live in France or in Germany or in Italy for a month or 6 months or a year, you could do so now. Maybe not tomorrow, but you could do so at some stage. Now that's going to be taken away from you. You won't have that right. It'll be much harder. So this is not just about people here. This is it's about you and your future. I've grown up in a generation in which that was just understood. You could up sticks and go. I have a brother who lives in Belgium. I have another brother who lives in Romania. That will be much harder to do. So this is about all of us, not just about people here. It's about what we do elsewhere.
The hopes. What are your hopes for Scotland post-Brexit?
The hope is that we can do two things. One is to hold on to what we have. I'm a European citizen. You're European citizens. We want to continue to be European citizens. But there's a bigger hope, and that's to have the type of country which reflects who we actually are. We're outgoing, we're positive, we're pro-European, we want people to come and visit us, we want to go and see other people. We want to have that open, outgoing, generous society, not the type of society that appears to be what is driving Brexit in some places south of the border. And particularly, I have to say, the UK government, which is a society that's against migration. It's a society that has a very narrow view of the world. I don't want to live in that type of Scotland. So I have this view of an exciting, vigorous, positive Scotland in which you can all play a really important part, not the closed down Scotland that you're not able to go and do things.
Soon, the UK will trigger Article 50.
And only then will we find out where Scotland's place in Europe will be.